right, good morning. It is Monday, July 11, 2016. This is our 5 steps for strategic business planning mentor call, and I'm glad y'all are with us this morning. Today our topic is about tools. This is step 5 in our 5-step model. And before we started recording, I was talking with Shirley about her new business partner and getting her started with a Dear Friend letter. I've had the opportunity to talk with her a couple of times, just delightful young woman. And in our last meeting, she had already sent out 100 Dear Friend letters. And I just was so pleased for her because what a great way to start a new partner. Shirley, from your experience as a leader partner, how important is that Dear Friend letter? And what have you seen, besides the obvious of getting it in the mail and getting it out there? How have you seen that help your new business partner?
Hi. The main thing, I think, was that it helped her to focus on her story, to focus on her image, to focus on who she is and what she wants. And the format for doing the Dear Friend letter, of course, is, we're learning how to communicate, number one. So you always have to set the objective, and have a call to action at the end, and tell the product story, tell the business story, and then wrap around that, the things that make us special. And she had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun working with her, coming up with a name. And of course, the first names off the top of people's heads are things that have to do with health and all that kind of thing, and what I'm going to do for other people. So it was delightful to see her to come up with her Amy's Secret Advantage name, and to find a beautiful key that reflects her Celtic heritage in that. So putting the image, the logo, together with the words, working with you, because you're the coach, you're the third party. I can tell her something, but it really helps to have some things reinforced. Some of them, hearing them directly from you makes a greater impact because you're the expert. So it's just been a wonderful process, and it has freed me up to do other things in my business because I'm able to turn a lot of the training, focus it to you, and then the two of us, when we leave you, work on what you have told us to work on and told her to work on. So that's been really great, really, really great. It's an organizing tool, and it just has so many reasons for being. So perfect place for somebody to start.
Yeah, thank you, Shirley. And again, what a great reinforcement as a leader partner to know that something as simple as a Dear Friend letter or introduction letter, whatever you want to call it, is a tool that's available to you that has so many different applications for being useful. So Shirley said helps the new partner get focused, to get clear about their image, who they are, their passion, their why, which if you read about any of the pop psychology around being successful, that why is paramount. Being able to understand what drives you, what's going to get you up out of bed every morning, that's a foundational key. Getting clear on that target market, understanding that shift from product-focused sales to target marketing. And there's a very distinct difference in how the receiver gets that information. So it's just been really fun for me. And as Shirley said, part of the dynamic that is very rewarding is the coaching complement. As Shirley and I have worked together through the years, she can, as the leader partner, be a part of that team, be a part of that leadership, and yet there is something about the outside voice that somebody that comes in that's quote-unquote the expert can sometimes influence those business partners in a way that leadership is just simply not able to do. And so that's why it's a great partnership, and I always enjoy working with Shirley and her team. So thanks for sharing that. So today, as we move forward in talking about tools, we're going to go through some of the specific areas of reaching out and that we've looked at a little bit before when we talked about our resources. We looked at a little bit when we talked about our plan of action last month. And then, if everybody's real good, we're going to go take a peek in the library so you can see some of the awesome tools others have created. If you do not have a library card, this will be a sneak peek because we're going to go into member-only section. Right now, just FYI, we are running a coaching special. Anybody who purchases any of the coaching packages will receive their 90-minute coaching assessment for free. So that's $275 savings. So if you are ready for coaching or you know someone who is, that's a really great deal, great place to get started. Everybody starts with a 90-minute coaching assessment. So if you would like to get that for free and get started on a personal coaching relationship, I'd be delighted to talk to you about it. You can email me, Paula at paulatevillage.com if you're interested. Also, just to get you kind of an update, if you haven't, we do have a brand new ParagonPodcasts.com landing page. So up till now, our freetrainingcalls.com and ParagonPodcasts.com were the same page. They are now two different landing pages. So if you have not yet been to the new podcast page, I invite you to do that sooner rather than later. They've done such a lovely job. I am so pleased with the editing and the way that the page looks and all the good stuff. So if you haven't been there, ParagonPodcasts.com. Again, both free training calls and Paragon Podcasts are open to the public, free to anybody who is interested. So if you have someone who's ready to learn a little bit about our marketing strategies, that's a great place to send them. We also continue to update our channel in YouTube. You can find us at Paragon Living, and now there are 3, I believe, videos there that are specific tours and how to use the library. So if you have not yet gotten into your library and taken advantage of your library card, or if you haven't gotten a library card yet and you're wondering what's in there, you're welcome to go to YouTube, look for our channel, Paragon Living, and take a look. Watch the videos and see if that helps you decide how to take better advantage or to make the decision to get that library card. Like us and follow us on Facebook, Paragon Living Institute. We recently put our coaching special up there, and we're getting a lot of activity, which is a lot of fun, and appreciate your support in that. So if you want to be up to date on what's going on with Paragon Living Institute, like us and follow us on Facebook. We're updating our library all the time. So again, encourage those of you who have made the purchase for a library card or are on the monthly activity that you get in on a regular basis, because there are new calls being added and new edits, particularly with our group coaching. Every week there are new calls that are put in the library from our live group coaching sessions. And if you haven't listened to those, I encourage you to do that. It's give you a feel for how coaching works, and even in a small group environment. All right, so all of that being updates, getting you everybody on the same page. Does anyone have any questions or obstacles, issues, anything in particular that you'd like to ask me? This is your magic wand opportunity, and or want to be sure we talk about in the group today. Any questions, obstacles, issues? All right. I'll take a minute of time to talk to me.
Everybody's shy today.
Everybody's got it all together. I love that. Okay, well, let's talk about tools then. First of all, when we think about tools, very often when a person gets started in their business, the first thing they do is run out and order business cards and letterhead and company brochures, and they get 1,000 of everything, and then you've got this wonderful box of ABC company, independent distributor business cards that you've got sitting in your shelf. Is there anybody that didn't do that?
First thing I did.
That's right. So case in point, that's what pretty much everybody does. What I suggest is that our tools are last. That especially with a new person, if you're working with a new partner, it's not that we want to stop them or slow them down. It's we want to use our resources most effectively. We want to use our resources most effectively. And the typical, here's my name, here's my corporate identity. Across the board, from a marketing perspective, all of that stuff is invisible. It is absolutely invisible in the marketing world. Imagine going to any kind of a meeting, and everybody there hands out their cards, and it's the Herbalife distributor, and Amway distributor, and Melaleuca distributor, and Shaklee distributor, and Juice Plus distributor, and that's it. There's the banker, the lawyer, the undertaker, and all the network marketers. There's very little about that is intriguing or memorable or remarkable. So one of the first things we can do to preserve our new business partners or ourselves, if we're new or renewing business, is to hold off on putting that image out there until you've got your image and target market. So you've created the plan. Once you have the plan, then we have something, we've got the idea, how we want to present ourselves in the marketplace. At that point, then, if we're using our own logo, our own image, we're creating tools in response to an activity series, we're going to get a lot more for our money. Our investment's going to be much better used. And that's super critical, especially at the upfront. I see it far too often that people spend a lot of their available investment money up front on tools they never use. The same thing goes for online tools. Except for having your corporate PWS where you can send people to shop, except for that, I wouldn't sign up for anything until you know what you're going to do with it, until you have a plan, because there's a million options. And I would rather err on conservative, do some activities that you can do short-term, immediate, to create that activity, and save the rest for getting your plan together. All right, so what are some of your favorite activities when you think about doing any kind of reaching out? What are your favorite things to do, favorite things you've done. What have you gotten the best results in terms of activity?
I've had good luck having focus groups to bring referral partners together to talk to them about my business and that I'm looking for business partners. That has worked very nicely.
So, doing your focus group, what are the tools that you've used in order to make that happen?
Several of them. I used some of the Shackley materials, Shackley snack bars. I had a flip chart, a paper flip chart. I did a sales presentation on the flip chart about how our network marketing business model is different and better than the regular marketing model. I had developed the skill of asking questions. I guess that was a big tool. And I had to make a reservation at Panera Bread and arranged for everybody to have dessert there, dessert and coffee. I think that was about it. And then, of course, the tools that I use to invite people, use the phone to personally engage them, to make sure they were coming, the thank you note afterward. So probably, maybe 25, 26 tools in there.
Wow. Now, I bet that would have been a great pop quiz question, because when she first said a focus group with people in her sphere of influence, how many of you immediately thought, wow, I bet that probably is going to take about 20 different tools?
Doesn't seem like
that was
it.
a surprise, right?
Not at all.
That's a surprise, because most of the time it's like when somebody says, oh, all you need to do is have parties. And we think, parties, that's one thing. But that's not true. The party is the result. It's all of the activity before the party happens and all of the activity after the party happens, which is what actually makes it work. The party in and of itself is like having a website. It's just the end, that's the end place that we're driving people to. But it in and of itself is not a tool. It's an activity. So again, I think that's very important information, is recognize when we think about some of our favorite activities, what are the tools that we're going to need in order to make that activity happen. So anybody else? Shirley talks about focus groups. Does anybody else have any favorite activity, or maybe something you'd like to do but you haven't done yet?
Well, this is Marilyn Bergemeyer.
Hi, Marilyn.
Hi. Well, my most successful tool, I think, are newsletters. And then around Thanksgiving, I usually do a customer appreciation thing. I try to do it before they get out to do all their shopping, Christmas shopping, and they still have some money left. And so I do that. But then I got to thinking, well, why not do Christmas in July? So as I'm talking to you today, I'm filling out went to Vista Prints and made out some postcards and did a Christmas postcard and told them that, they get for a 5% rebate on orders $50 to $250, and then 10% on orders over $250. So I'm anxious to see how that works, because there were some that really looked forward to that, to that notice at Christmas time. So anyway, the newsletters have been a good tool, because they know I'm here, and they won't always order what is even featured in the newsletter, but they order what they usually order.
Yeah, it keeps them connected, right?
Yes, right.
That's great. So, Marilyn, when you do your newsletter, are you sending it out by paper, by post, or are you doing it online?
I have two, but I have so many people who have been with me since 1980, and they're not really on the computer or whatever. So I send both. I have an e-news that I use, and I'm still using the one from that Shackley, that Dr. Steve Cheney is involved with Shackley, and then I do the Health Quest newsletter.
Okay, so you're not creating your own e-news. You're using someone else.
Right,
Okay.
and then I always put my own insert in there. And each month it has announcements, it has specials, it'll have, upcoming events and so forth.
And so when you do have opportunity to do the ones that are by email, that are online, are you tracking your open rates and click-throughs to see what kind of response you get from people?
Yes.
And so can you tell me, generally what would be your average open rate?
Oh, it's small. It really is. I'd say it's in the teens somewhere, percentage-wise, maybe 14%.
Right.
Something like that.
So
and then it depends on whether they just open it. And I don't know whether they just open all their mail and, if they're reading it. But then it lets me know if they've gone on and listened to another video on there or went in to read another article or whatever was part of that.
And that's critical, right? Because if we're the noting of open rates, click-throughs, engagement is so important. And I'm really glad you're doing that because just think about the numbers. If Marilyn sends 100 emails and she has a 14% open rate, y'all know what that means, right?
Yes.
So that means 86% did not open. Now, that's common. That's an industry standard. It's usually 13 to 18% would be industry standard, what you could expect in email. So, if we choose email as a primary method of reaching out, and we're getting a 14% open rate, what percentage of our database is actually hearing from us on a regular basis?
14%.
That's right. So, we talk about a plan of action, right? So we do multiple methods of reaching out so that we have a greater opportunity to touch a broader base of our audience. Now, there are multiple ways of creating activity series, and of course that's what we talked about last month. When we look at specific tools, what's most interesting to me as a marketer, market researcher, and that's been an interest of mine forever, is how do we engage that audience? How do we get their attention, trigger the emotional dynamic required to get them to say yes and take action now? Because that's the process, right? We must have an emotional reaction. We've got to be careful that we're not always in the logical or the thinking side of the brain. It's appealing, and there are definitely folks who will respond, and perhaps you may have an audience, any of you may have an audience of people who are educated, people who seek the more scientific side of information. Even if that is the case, if we want them to take action and engage, there must be an emotional response. That's how the brain works. Decisions are made in our emotional capacity. So when you're thinking about the tools you're creating, ask yourself, what is the emotional trigger that I am stimulating? And is that where my audience responds and takes action? Very interesting, this whole dynamic of understanding our audience. And no two databases are the same. And, I mean, just the minute I think I understand some of these new technologies and where there's an interest, then something happens and I get a whole new set of data, and it's everything I thought up to that point is wiped out, and I get all new data. So it's a moving target. Marketing is a moving target. Understanding your specific database is imperative. We cannot go by global statistics and just blanket across everybody's database and say, this is what people like. That's why you get paid the big bucks, because it's your job to attract and cultivate your database. So as you are putting that bait out there, that initial point of attraction, think, am I asking for those people who want what I have? That most profitable customer, an active referral source, an ideal business partner. And then once we have them in the database, they've said yes, or we've gotten the nod, they've done something to indicate their interest, then is my subsequent message stimulating that same value to continue to develop that relationship. What so often happens is a person will do that initial marketing, that point of attraction marketing, from one point of view. And maybe they'll get a few people. They'll run a special, or they'll do something to stimulate that engagement. They get that person. And then once they get the person, then any subsequent communication takes a different tact, applies to a different point of view or a different target market. This is when we begin to see those lower numbers in open rates and engagement. The other thing that I know for sure is people want to believe the information they're receiving from you is relevant to them. And as much as I have respect for and appreciate the work of people who provide the services of emails and those kinds of things, what I know as a marketer and as a recipient of those things is it's not personal. It doesn't do anything for me at all. And most of the time, if I get one of those kinds of emails from someone, then all future emails are blocked. I don't want to see that. I know it's not for me. It's a canned email. It goes to everybody. It has nothing to do with me. And of course, I'm very egoic, so that's maybe I'm more extreme in that than a lot of people. But even the cards, whatever those service cards are that people send out, I don't even open them.
Send out cards.
I know it's not for me. I know it's a canned thing that, I'm in a list of names, and the person sending it maybe never even saw my name on the list. And again, I don't mean to say that to be all about me, but just as an example of what my experience is, again, when you see industry standards, open rates are in the teens, that reinforces what I've just said, that most people, when they receive these emails or things like that, there is a lack of engagement because their perception is it really isn't about them. It's just a thing that people send out. So one of the ways, if you're looking to increase that exposure, increase that open rate, is, first of all, start creating messages that are personal to your audience, especially those ones who are your highest and best customers or business partners that you want to keep and cultivate. Tune your message to them specifically. The second thing is using a variety of reaching out activities, so that maybe I'm not going to open the email, but maybe when I get that custom postcard, then maybe that'll get my attention. Or maybe if you send me a personal text, or you do something else that's going to feel like you're reaching out to me personally, then maybe next time I get the email, I might be more likely to open it. So I've always seen in action, cold market stimulates warm market stimulates cold market. And what that means is you've got to do your stuff to enough people in the cold market to get that number, so that the quantity, enough of the quantity, so you can get those percentages to work for you. And then as you're doing that and incorporate your warm market, those people who've already said yes, that makes them feel better because they know they're a part of a greater whole. They're a part of a growing trend. They're in the company of others. And it really does require some very specific psychology to use some of our tools today to make it work. And if you think about 50 years, 40 years even, the Avon lady, the Fuller Brush man, those people literally went door to door. It was a personal and direct engagement. And they maybe didn't get 100% of the sales, but I bet they got better than 14%. There was something about that person that knocked on the door, that came in and had a personal conversation. And even if they came by once a month or once a quarter, they began to attract and cultivate that solid relationship with their audience. We've got to do the same thing, but using technology requires skills, requires very much a focus on our image, our target market, and that ongoing focus of appealing to our target market. All right, anybody have any questions at this point or comments? Take a little break here. All right, so just for fun, there are a few of you who may not have opportunity to get into our library. We're going to take a couple of minutes, and I'm going to show you some of the tools that are available that other people have created through coaching. This is the piece where I take personal pride, because if you, as many of you are probably going to your convention this year, and you could do a test, and this is kind of funny, but I would say that of all the distributors that you meet at your convention, when you see someone who has their own business name and logo, and they're not going by just the manufacturer's name, they probably worked with me at one time or another. And it's very funny because you can go through the numbers, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of folks there, but if you see somebody that has their badge on and they have a different name than just the corporate name, if they have a different business card, ask them if they know me, because that is one of the things that happens in a coaching relationship, is going through the process with everybody that I've worked with. Everyone comes out with their own unique business name and image. And that is one thing that absolutely distinguishes distinguishes people in the marketplace. No question about it. A great call in the library, and ParagonPodcast.com is, I think it's the third call on the list of the podcast, and you can hear from one of my clients talk about the reaction she got when she introduced herself at a networking meeting, and how it was so remarkable because every other network marketer says exactly the same thing, and she was one of the first people that they'd ever heard say something different. So think about that as you're looking into your tools, creating that plan of action. How are you distinguishing yourself in the marketplace? All right, so in our Paragon Living Institute library, there are a whole bunch of cool things. And one thing that I just wanted to, if you get in there, you've got to have a library card, obviously. So you can get your library card for $65 a month right now, or $650 a year. And that will probably be changing here in another few weeks. So I encourage you to take advantage of that now if you'd like to get all monthly subscriptions are auto-pay on a regular basis. So that's why you get the discount, is because you get signed up on auto-pay. It happens automatically. And so that's the only way to do it in future. And or you just buy your card straight out and get the whole year up front. So let's look at some samples. The first thing, if you haven't seen it, is the punch list for getting started. But we're not going to look at that right now. That's something that I encourage all of you to go through. We're updating that, but that's still something that's extremely useful, and I recommend you go through that. So let's look at our Airs Above postcard, just to give you an example of what one lovely image looks like when you create a postcard of your own. All right, so here's a great example of what Patty uses as a note card. She uses this postcard for a variety of things. This might be a thank you note. It might be confirming an appointment. It might be an invitation to an upcoming event. It could be a variety of things that she uses it for. Rather than your plain old note card or your typical distributor stationery, Patty's created something really beautiful. She worked long and hard to get the logo, to get the design, and now she's able to reinforce that and use that design anytime she does any kind of just, here's a note, thinking of you, thank you, here's what to expect, confirming our appointment. Right off the bat, not only is the recipient seeing that distinctive, beautiful, remarkable image, but everybody that handles it. That's one of the things I love about postcards, because from the minute it leaves your mailbox all the way en route to the other mailbox, all the different people who handle that are going to see this and are going to have an opportunity to look at it. So that one's awesome. Thank you, Shirley. So the next one is going to be about better living. Now, Lee has done just a phenomenal job. She's created her letterhead, her postcards, her business card. She has shirts that she designed and embroidered. She has a beautiful poster that she uses when she does booths and events. She has a note card, our monthly or quarterly postcards, this beautiful collection of designs that she's created to use on an ongoing, regular basis for her marketing. What is so cool about this is it's been a pretty short period of time, year maybe, that we've worked together. And just in that short time, she's been able to create this gorgeous assortment of tools that she can use. So she has her dear friend letter at the ready. Every single time she meets someone new, she puts a new name in her database, she has a new encounter, she's got that dear friend letter at the ready to go out. Anytime she wants to send a note to someone, or this idea of follow-up, the dreaded follow-up. Well, shoot, if you have your series of postcards and letterhead, the worry of follow-up goes away, because even if you do nothing more than a postcard once a month to stay in front of that audience, being relevant with your topical calendar, specific to your target market, the more consistent you are with that, the greater your reputation is in the marketplace. People are going to see that you are a serious entrepreneur, that you are committed and passionate, and to the degree that you're willing to invest in what it takes to create your own image. Everybody in business knows this doesn't happen by accident. That's why so few people have it. Honestly, if you go into any of your networking groups, whether you're talking to a massage therapist or a banker or a chiropractor or a landscaper or other network marketers, I'm betting dollar for dollar that 9 out of 10 people are not going to have this kind of collection of marketing tools at the ready. We do. That's one of the specific objectives in coaching, is that you build and develop this collection of tools so that any time one of your activities comes up, and it's that month, it's that week, it's that day for you to get busy and take action, you have your tools at the ready. All right, let's look at Loving Purpose. Now, this is another one of my absolute favorites. If you look here at these first postcards, and we have several of them. I think there's 6 now. We have another one that she just did. Each of these postcards, and first of all, she has a phenomenal printer. So the printer has helped tremendously. We have ideas. We've created the logo. We write the copy, submit it to the printer, and then the printer gives us some options of designs. Once she gets the design and design element, then she uses that same element in her newsletters. So these, I think, visually are outstanding, very remarkable, intriguing. It's classy, beautiful. People are going to want to look at this. This works not only for U.S. Post to get things in the mail. This also works if you want to hand out a card, if you meet somebody somewhere, if you're at a dinner party and someone asks you what you do. Very gracefully, you can show them something beautiful and remarkable and create that intrigue. Actually, I think if you scoot down a little bit, what you're going to see Mary's done is she's taking these same postcard images now and created her own e-news. So not only do you get the postcard in the mail with the image, that outstanding, remarkable visual, but then you're going to turn around and get the same visual, same message in your monthly e-news. Now, this to me is magic. It is, and Mary in particular is extremely dedicated to getting her tools together. I mean, we've worked together really a relatively short time, a year maybe, and for her to have created and accomplished this is outstanding. And so she has done a really, really remarkable job. You might notice just sort of on the corner of one of these left here, it's sort of blurry, but you can see where it says Moment for missions. And it's because her business name, Loving Purpose, she talks about her image, and the reason she does the business is not really because she needs the money. She does it because she has a heart for missions. And through her work with her products, she's able to create that additional revenue where she can turn around and then support the missions that she cares about. And each month in her newsletter, she'll have her missions corner. Each month she focuses on a different mission, talks about why she's passionate about it, and links people to it. So what her audience is getting is not just, oh, our products are the best in the history of the world and you should buy it right now and here's all the science and research around it. It's personal. It is engaging. It gives somebody an opportunity to see that, wow, she's so passionate about what she does, creating this professional image, creating these professional tools, and then when her audience gets her stuff, they're much more likely to open and engage and participate because it's a fuller concept than here, buy the stuff. There's more to it. And again, I say these things because I know that you all face a tremendous amount of competition. You are competing not only with other people in your same company, you're competing with thousands and thousands of other network marketers who have similar or same products, believe it or not, from the consumer point of view, similar or same, and you're competing with all of the retail stores and the wholesalers, the big box stores, and you're competing with everyday expenses. Should I buy these quote-unquote expensive vitamins or should I get a new pair of shoes? You are competing on every level for that consumer dollar. And the only way to get into that buying decision, to become a part of their shopping behavior, is to attract and cultivate, like we said at the very beginning, by engaging and triggering that emotional response that has people feel attached to you, engaged with you. So, when I look at these, I get excited. I see these visions, the pictures, the colors, and there's immediately an emotional response. I want to know more. Now, I may not buy every time, but I am intrigued enough that I'm going to watch for what Mary does next. All right, so that's just a sneak preview. There's a ton more in our wonderful library in the Paragon Living Institute Library. You'll see, and we add more all the time. There's all kinds of stuff for you to see in there. If you have a library card, I encourage you to go into the library and take a look. A lot of these are new since last month, and we'll be adding more as we move along. There are other things that are changing in the library, and check out our new podcasts and any of the any feedback you have, because we're working on making it better all the time. But these are all edited and ready to roll. You should be able to listen from any device. That wherever you can get Wi-Fi, you should be able to listen easily and not have to download. So how many do we have in here? 8? 6 or 8? We have 7. So more coming soon. All right. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the information today. Take advantage of all the fun stuff we have available for you. Again, if you have any questions, please email me, paula@paulaenglish.com, and visit us on YouTube, on Facebook, and our Paragon Podcast Library. And please let me know what I can do to best support and help you in your business growth. That's what I love to do. So thanks again for dialing in today. We'll be back next month.
Thanks, Paula. So much good stuff. Thank you.